What's up, everybody? This is Bems.
And this is Ace. And this is Serving Up the Tea. We are now on episode 15 of the pod, and we are coming to you live from Los Angeles.
LA, baby. Ace, what's tea?
I think what's tea is that is shaping up for a very interesting second week of this illustrious 1,000 level tournament in Indian Wells. Tea for me is that this was about to be Djokovic's, if he won, 100th tour title. And he just lost in the second round to Botic van der Schanschlop. Help me with that one.
Botic van der Schanschlop.
Botic van der Schanschlop.
Correct.
Took out Djoko. In how many sets?
It was 3. They did the 3.
They went all the way. As far as one can go in a 1,000 level tournament.
Correct. But he lost the third set 6-1.
And what was wrong?
Well, in his presser, he said that the center court was completely different from all the other courts, and he was surprised with his level considering how much he's been practicing.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, he hasn't really had that great of a season.
No, it hasn't been great for him.
He lost in the quarterfinals of Brisbane to Opelka. He retired,
which was crazy because Opelka.
Exactly. He retired in the semifinal of Australian Open against Zverev. He lost in the first round of Doha to Berrettini. Berrettini had never beaten him before, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's out second round of Indian Wells, which, by the way, is technically his first round because he had a bye. To Van der Schanschlop.
Yeah, he didn't even play a game before that, a match before that.
Funny enough, last year at Indian Wells, he also lost to, was it Nardi, Lucas Nardi, who was a lucky loser.
Yeah, that was like a big moment last year.
Yeah, and Van der Schanschlop was also a lucky loser. He lost in qualifying, but got into the main draw because I can't remember who withdrew. Somebody withdrew. And he signed the camera, lucky loser, smiley face. But this is the same guy who beat Carlos randomly at the US Open. He has these really like standout moments on these very big stages. But outside of that, he hasn't made a quarterfinal in his last 50 ATP tournaments.
He has these moments of like greatness, but also maybe not greatness because Djoko wasn't playing well, because losing the last set.
But Djokovic is usually
kind of
someone who's able to pull it out even when he's not playing well. He just wasn't able to. He also beat Kyrgios in round 1, and Kyrgios was like crying on court because
which
he just he didn't beat him. Kyrgios retired, right? But he would have lost the match. Injury. The wrist injury, yeah. It was tough to see. I mean, he was shaking out his wrist from the second point of the match. I think he's very frustrated with not being able to get back to the player he was in 2022. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that's,
Yeah. Cautionary tale, that one.
I do wonder, though, if Djokovic's drop in level has to do with the fact that the people that he spent so much of his career competing against are no longer in the field. So maybe just the desire, like there's nobody to push him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see it even be like a thing that he doesn't even realize, but like he's not hungry anymore.
Yeah, I think that's what could be happening.
What's tea, Bems? And Bems has been saving this what's tea because honestly, I have not kept up with tennis for the past 2 days. And she's like, I'm going to tell you about this what's tea on the pod. We have not discussed. I have no idea what she's about to say. Give it to me.
You remember Potapova, who was married to Shevchenko and got divorced and unfollowed each other?
Mm-hmm.
Well, on February 26th, she was in Talon Griekspoor's box while he was playing Ugo Umber. And it was a bit strange.
Why?
Because what is she doing there?
Oh.
They're not from the same country. They're not.
So people can't have friends on tour?
She was back in his box again when he beat Alexander Zverev. They are dating. Bye.
Ooh, Miss back in the box. And now she's out of the tournament, so she could be in that box all week.
Exactly.
It reminds me of when, what's her name, Australian girl dated multiple players. And I wonder if there's a point at which you're like, okay, I'm done dating on tour.
You're talking about Tomljanovic?
Yes. Didn't she
date
she dated
2
players?
Kyrgios and Berrettini.
Yeah. For me, it's like if I date 2 players or anyway, let me watch my words here. We're dating it within the same pool. After a certain point, you gotta be like, nah, I'm done.
Clocking out.
Clocking out. Gotta go to the next pond.
Speaking of the next pond, Ben Shelton is rumored to be dating Dennis Rodman's daughter, Trinity Rodman.
I saw that and I really like it, if it's true.
The TikToks they did were very funny to me.
Shelton seems like a sweet boy. I wonder how he like is in real life, but also isn't he a Trump supporter? Or a Trump sympathizer?
He's rumored to be MAGA, yes. Correct.
Oof. We will need a confirmation on that.
I actually
to
don't
know
want
how
a
to
confirmation.
proceed.
For sure.
To know how to proceed because we be talking him up.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
But I mean, I guess to each their own.
I guess. Shall we get into some match point musings?
We shall.
Starting a bit before Indian Wells, a couple things happened that I think set the stage nicely for Indian Wells itself.
Absolutely.
Tsitsipas beat Felix Auger-Aliassime to win Dubai. That was his first time being able to win a Masters 500 tournament. I think before that he was 0-11 or something. And of course, Felix is the one that gave it to him.
That was actually quite a nice match to watch.
Was it?
The one-handed backhand. Tsitsipas was creating some moments with that.
I mean, I feel like it was a match that Felix could have won. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that. So Tsitsipas is now 1-11 in ATP 500 finals. It is ironic though, because in 2022, Felix was 0-8 in ATP level finals, and then he won his first career title against Tsitsipas. So it's a bit of, cinematic poetry that 3 years later, in Dubai, Tsitsipas, who was 0-11 in 500 finals, wins his first against Auger-Aliassime.
0-11 is crazy.
Well, yes.
That's a crazy lack of conversion.
He was playing with a blacked out racket. We now know that it's an arrow because they, they do these like kind of filler shots when they're doing the broadcasting. And they did a shot of his racket being restrung. And although it's blacked out, the bumper, you could see the Babolat logo on it. So he's playing with an arrow. He was formerly playing with the Wilson blade. If you remember, Madison Keys was also playing with a Wilson blade when she switched to the Yonex E-Zone and won the Australian Open. So it's not looking great for the blade, I'd say. Tommy Paul also used to play with the blade and switched to the Yonex V-Core. So I think Yonex is, well...
I mean, me personally, I have... I'm a pro staffer, but I have picked up an arrow and played with it a few times because that's what we have in the house here. And I quite like it. Never played with a blade, though, but a lot of people really rate that racket. But maybe it was,
I mean,
not
listen,
the one.
Hurkacz just switched to the blade. Anisimova used it while she won the biggest title of her career recently.
She did.
And Arina Sabalenka, who is world number one on the WTA side, does do very well with it as well. It doesn't look great that the face of Wilson on the ATP side
has switched,
won a tournament and returned to the top 10 as soon as he's trying out a different racket from a different company. It's not even like he switched to the Pro Staff or switched to the Ultra. He switched to a different company.
Altogether.
It's not a good look for Wilson, definitely not.
But what they going to do, make a whole new racket?
I'm not sure. Maybe they need to check their technology or, again, different strokes for different folks, literally and figuratively. And so I think perhaps it just wasn't fitting his game anymore, but it doesn't look great, I would say. They have some people still doing well with it, so they can maybe focus a bit more. I think Ons plays with the Pro Staff.
She does.
But yeah, I did find it very funny, though, that when he won his tournament, he posted a picture with the trophy on Instagram and said, "They said my game was sinking, so I got myself a boat," because the trophy is literally a boat.
You would love that because you're into puns. Yeah, I don't usually like the things that Tsitsipas says, but this one was cute.
Yeah, he ate that one little thing. On our last episode, I spoke about Victoria Mboko. She's the young girl who is killing it on the ITF tour. She lost, I think her first loss, like shortly after our episode went live, but she's back to winning again. She beat Harriet Dart in Porto for her second ITF W75 title. It was her best career win by ranking, and so that brings her to a total of 5 ITF titles in 2025.
That's crazy.
28 matches, 27 wins, 1 loss, 55 sets played, and 51 sets won. Like, she's kind of going hard. She's gotten a wild card for Miami, so...
Ooh, I love that for her. And straight into the main draw?
Yes, correct.
She deserves.
Last episode, I was saying I'm going to keep my eye out to see if anyone gives her a wild card, and it literally happened like days later. So I'm really excited to see how she performs. Some of her younger Black contemporaries got into the main draw of Indian Wells. Clervy and Gonway got in. Played a really good match. Unfortunately, wasn't able to win. I did think that was a winnable match from her, but I'm not sure. Maybe she just wasn't ready to rise to the moment. Whitney
Didn't
Osigwe,
Haley Baptiste make it to round 2?
I was just about to say Whitney Osigwe and Haley Baptiste, who are both really good friends, played each other round 1. Haley thrashed Whitney. Was not good at all.
Hey.
She abused her.
Friendly. That is not friendly.
It was bullying. Haley went on to play Danielle Collins and did lose to Danielle. I think she took the first set though, but ended up losing that match. There hasn't been a U.S. women's champion for 24 years, since 2001.
At Indian Wells.
At Indian Wells, yeah.
And I would say this year, the American players do have a good chance. I mean, there's 4 of them in the top 10.
Correct.
So that's 4 strong contenders. And then you have Pegula, who just made it super far, and she's been on point. Coco, she's been having a rough patch.
I mean, listen, she played a very scrappy match the other day.
But a win is a win.
And that's what she said. She hit 21 double faults and 74 unforced errors, though.
That is crazy.
Against the qualifier, I think.
And she also, low-key, it didn't have to go that way. It was so close.
She was serving for the match. I looked down, looked up, and it was a tiebreak. I said, oh, okay.
Oh, my God. Coco, why?
Yeah.
Coco, why?
I think Indian Wells is unique in that, it doesn't matter what form. I mean, Coco wasn't in great form before. I'll put my hands up and say that. Although she never really does that great in the Middle East. However, Indian Wells is unique in that, it doesn't matter how good you're doing. You come there and you are humbled. I mean, Naomi lost in her opening match.
Very badly, too.
She tweeted that it was her worst ever match. She apologized to the people who had to watch that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking that she is kind of in a transition from being not a hardcore specialist, because she was always good on all surfaces, but maybe her preference could change in this second era of her career as she changes her game to adapt to her new vibe.
She mentioned that her match against Iga Swiatek,
the one at RG,
correct,
yeah,
made her feel like it's possible for her to win there, that she's not just a hardcore specialist.
And I'm excited for her to explore her strengths on other surfaces.
For sure.
Because maybe she could be the first person to be a different specialist at different times,
Perhaps. I just want her to get back into winning ways consistently.
Yeah, I just needed to win a
before we
fucking
get to talk
big
about
trophy.
specialist or non-specialist.
Win a big trophy.
Let's get to be a winning specialist first, and then we can start talking about the surfaces.
Yeah.
Alicia Parks gave me a bit of hope, and then it was gone as quickly as it.
The Park Rangers were so up a day ago.
And then so down.
She
got her ass handed to her by Deanna Schneider.
She crashed out.
Mind you, she had just beaten Schneider in the Middle East. So I really had hopes for that match. I thought it was going to be a winnable one. It was not a winnable one.
Alicia's another one, there's some glimmers of greatness, and then a crash out is on the horizon. I need her to get consistency together so we could see some big wins and some deep runs.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Badosa withdrawing at like the super last minute. It was good for Eva Lise, obviously, who is turning out to be the luckiest loser on tour this season because she got that super last minute entry into the Australian Open and she got into Indian Wells as well. Mind you, Badosa had a bye. So that means Eva Lise was straight into the second round and gets a second round paycheck regardless.
That's crazy and love that for her.
Yeah.
Why did Badosa withdraw? Was it an injury?
Back injury, yes. But she knew, I think what's frustrating to me is that like, you're not going to play because she pulled out of the tiebreak 10s event that she was supposed to play with Tsitsipas.
I mean, I think for someone like her, she's in denial that this injury is as bad as it is. Because remember, she went from, you might never be able to play again, to then doing pretty well on her comeback. And so I feel like for her, she's always trying to push her back in this injury as far as it can go. Like, can I play this next match? Can I not? Let me wait until I'm about to walk on the court to see how the back feels. So, I don't know. I don't hold it against her. I think she's really struggling with that decision.
Well, I don't know what to tell her, but...
Yeah. Elina Svitolina had 9 match points before. Well, 8. And then she converted the 9th one to get her win.
Listen, a win is a win. I don't know what's going on out there in that desert, but people are fighting for their lives. Okay?
Fighting for their lives because 9 match points is crazy.
They are down bad, yeah. But nobody is as down bad as Francis Tiafoe, who came onto court without his rackets.
Where were they?
Not in his bag. He opened his bag and looked genuinely shocked to not see his rackets in there.
As one would be as you walk into Masters 1000 court.
But here's my thing is, he stood in that tunnel bouncing on his feet. He didn't feel the bag was light. You picked up the bag to walk out. You didn't feel your bag was light.
Because it's not like they be having one racket. They be having like
11.
6 to 9. Yeah.
Literally.
Them bags are big. If it has no rackets in there, you would feel it.
He had to wait for his coach, David Witt, to bring them out. I thought that was so crazy. Like, Belinda Bencic has come back from maternity leave
with a vengeance,
with the knowledge of how expensive diapers are.
She said, I have tuition to pay.
She knows what's up. Her record in the 29 matches since she's come back, 23-6, 79.3% win rate.
That's a mom on a mission.
That's mother.
That's a mom on a mission.
She beat Anisimova like Anisimova owed her money.
Mm-hmm. And Anisimova is in great form. She just won the biggest tournament of her career
literally
a few weeks ago and then got humbled
quickly
by Bencic.
It was crazy. Another person who's being humbled right now, and I'm loving it, is Alexander Sasha Zverev. And
he out.
The reason I feel so comfortable saying his full name right now, when I usually can't even bring it out of my throat, is because of how bad he's losing.
I also love that the whole thing is like, can he make it to number 1? And the answer is no.
He's not making it.
And they keep asking him in the pressers, and he's like, well, firstly, I need to win matches, and I'm not doing that. So
yes,
it's like, how is number 1 even a conversation at this point?
He could not capitalize on Jannik Sinner being out for 3 months. 3 months. His record since the Australian Open, I think, is 4 wins, 4 losses. He went all the way down to South America, couldn't do nothing there. Now you're back here in Indian Wells, couldn't beat Talon Greeks for. No offense to Talon, but like, how come?
What is the reason?
I will say, in terms of Indian Wells' general match point musing, the matches hadn't really been giving.
They're giving. Everyone's fighting for their lives. So like,
but
no one's like,
Sabalenka Kessler was good. Monfils Korda, better. Cristea Navarro.
I was about to say Navarro. I don't usually like to see her play, but her and Cristea were playing a match.
Even Kenin Kazakina was pretty good. But
Kazakina's
Navarro,
such a trickster.
Cristea,
Mm-hmm.
I felt really bad for Cristea though, because like she came
tries
out so
hard.
strong, but Navarro does not go away. What a little irritant.
She's a pest on the court.
Like, will you get lost?
Because her defense was so crazy. Cristea was sending the ball to north, south, east, west, different corners of the court. And Navarro was just there each time and returning it like it's nothing. Just a little block, boops, back in play.
Listen, for all the vulture accusations, for all the, criticisms, her playing in those lower level tournaments and really grinding it out, I think has really, really fleshed out her game in a way that not a lot of players have been able to. I think her game IQ is up there. Her shot tolerance is up there. And
her level is up.
And her game endurance, her match endurance is so high. Like, she just doesn't give up.
She's in fine form. Her fitness seems to be like
she just
insane.
She just won Merida, right? The 500?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She did. That was
her
first.
dad did a little jig on tour.
That was cute.
On court, sorry. But yeah, let's get into some doubles trouble. I spoke a bit last week about Riley Opelka's seemingly unfounded and unwarranted attack on doubles. His trolling of doubles with wearing the Watch the Doubles t-shirts. I just want to say that his match it was either court 1 or court 2, like pretty big stadium, was empty.
But he's American, so that's why they would put him on 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Do you see? Because 1, they don't know if he's going to make it deep in the tournament. So they're like, let's get an American on court 1 and 2 as soon as possible.
He was playing Safri Lin.
Yeah, that is not a matchup that will usually be on a main court.
And lost. Mind you, at the same time that this was happening, the doubles matches were packed out. People were standing in lines trying to get in to watch more doubles. And
people love the doubles.
Roland Garros has decided to make the mixed doubles final at this year's championships open to all ticket holders. So I think that similar to the US Open's change in doubles format, they're just trying to get more people watching the sport. And I think that that's a really good way to do it. If it's free to all ticket holders, it's a great time to watch a slam final on Philippe Chatrier, and will hopefully raise the doubles profile of both the players and the mixed doubles event. In terms of the US Open mixed doubles situation, Tsitsipas has confirmed that he and Paulo Badosa will play mixed doubles. They won that mixed doubles exhibition in 2025, which is basically what the new format is based on.
Wait, why do you think that them winning the exhibition inspired the revamped format?
No, I don't think that them winning inspired the format. I think the exhibition inspired the format in general.
Oh, okay. No, I got it.
There's other players like Sabalenka, Fritz have both shown interest. I think Coco said that she's still going to skip it to focus on singles.
Well, yeah, she's in no position right now to be adding to her plate. Although she's usually pretty good at doubles.
Well, yes. But I think let's focus for now.
Let's get some wins, Coco.
I
would love to see Coco win in Nunwells, but I'm not the best at predicting.
We'll get into predictions later. The tiebreak 10s event that they do at Indian Wells was really fun this year.
It was packed too.
It really was. They interviewed Casper Ruud after he lost to Madison Keys and Tommy Paul, and he said, it's tough when you go up against the Australian Open champ and a model. You have to be on point, and we weren't, and the model got the best of us. And I feel him because Tommy Paul that's a fine man.
That's a fine boy.
Fritz and Rybakina ended up winning the event. I think that was a pretty unfair pairing. Both of their services are insane.
They're both super tall.
In the on-court presser afterwards, Fritz was like, yeah, I hope that she's going to play like mixed doubles with me at the US Open or whatever. And then Rybakina was like, yeah, you could just tell she wasn't feeling it. She was like, I hope to play. But I was like, that girl's not playing.
I'll never know what Rebecca going or not going to do, because she seems to have a low level of interest in a lot of things. But I think that's just her vibe.
Her general disposition.
She's not expressive. So I'm just always confused. I'm like, did you really mean that? Are you happy? Are you sad? Like, what's going on? She doesn't give much.
Yeah. But I mean, we also know that she has a lot going on.
Go on, girl.
Court.
Give us nothing.
Okay. Well,
go on, girl. Give us nothing.
She has a lot going on off court. So
she does.
Compartmentalizing, and that takes.
She has to hold it in. Yeah.
Court couture has really piqued my interest this past week because some of the kits I've been seeing at Indian Wells have really surprised me in the best way. Listen, I've been really interested in what Fila is doing for Navarro ever since that beige kit.
It's so cute.
This baby pink kit they have her in at Indian Wells is adorable. It is so cute.
Do you think she has anything to do with the creative direction of these kits, or Fila has just been on point?
I'm not sure. I hadn't taken notice of Fila before I started seeing them doing these cute kits for her. In fairness, it's basically the same kit every time in different colorways.
But the kit is cute. Like the kit is
pleats,
cute. The way they put it together on the skirt,
and like that little
it
collar,
moves nicely.
Yeah,
it's the perfect mix.
And the skirt is very mini.
It's very mini and compact.
It's cute. I really love what New Balance has Kessler in as well. It's like a navy blue number. It's very cute and it looks very good on her. She has low-key like an it girl vibe to her. Like if Hailey Bieber was playing tennis. It's very
Oh my god. Yeah, she actually does. McCartney Kessler. Yeah. Okay.
I also love. We spoke about this on last episode, I think. Or maybe we didn't. Maybe this was just us chatting. But these ombre Wilson kits are so cute on Alicia Parks and Marta Kostyuk. And I have to say, I think that's the ombre vibe that On was going for.
I was about to say, like, they saw that On was onto something but didn't execute the right way, and they said we could do it better because it looked so cute.
Yeah, really, really good. The only men that stood out to me are Casper Ruud. I really liked his kit. It washed him out a bit, but I think the kit itself was nice. And then Tiafoe is now with Lululemon.
How's it been looking?
I'm surprised at how muted his color choice was for this year. You know, he's a colorful guy. He likes really colorful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This year's what he's wearing at Indian Wells is almost gray. It's like a grayish, lightish, bluish. But he looks nice. I'm not somebody who's super into like lots of bright color, so I really liked it. But it's such a departure from what he used to wear when he was with Nike that I was a bit surprised. But Lululemon is doing a huge marketing push right now. I mean, at the Palm Springs airport, they have like these huge billboards for Tiafoe. They also just recently signed in the F1 driver, Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah, he just announced that he's with Lululemon now as well.
That's crazy.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're trying something different, I think.
Adidas, I would say, poor.
Really,
they're on point with their color choice, which is red, and red is very hot right now. But like Svitolina's kit, boring.
I haven't liked what Adidas has done all year. Even from
I mean, your order history would say different, but
well, I didn't order anything from their current collection. Everything I ordered in that Adidas haul was old. I also don't really like the color red, so. But speaking of red, Nike is doing red right now too because Sabalenka's in red. Carlos is in some sort of red duo-toned sort of thing. I didn't love much of that.
I don't like what they're doing. The silhouette that they put on Sabalenka is like not best.
But they're back to using the Nike Court logo and not just the swoosh.
I love that because I think it was so cute.
Actually, I lied when I said I didn't like what Nike's doing right now. Zhang Kalinskaya and Mira Andreeva were all in some sort of navy blue Nike Court kit. And those were really
that one
nice.
was good. That one was good.
Very
that one
clean.
gives like classic Nike Court look,
It
which
was
is
very
clean, sporty, athletic.
Yeah.
It did look really good on Mira.
It looked great on Kalinskaya as well when she lost to Alicia Parks.
That was such a Park Rangers moment.
It was a very good well, actually, I was about to lie. I was going to say it was a good match in terms of looks, but the first time they played, because they had to continue their match the next day because of a rain delay, the first time they played, it was at night. So Alicia came out there with some black leggings, that ombre skirt, and a white zip up top, and I was really
Just
upset.
Too much.
She looked.
The thing is, I wonder if the brands give them matching like long sleeves, because it's known that in Indian Wells, if you play in the night, it is cold.
Well, Nike definitely does, because Kalinskaya was in a long sleeve for the Navy. But the next day, obviously, it was in the daytime. So Alicia came out in the tank and without the leggings, and it looked great. It looked great.
Yeah.
That rain delay really messed up a lot of matches, because I think Lerner Tien also had to take a break. And the night before, he was doing okay, but he was like coughing a bit. And the next day, he lost. And you could tell he was fully sick. He was so sick, actually, that he didn't shake hands with his opponent or the umpire, not in a rude way. He told him, he was like, oh no, like I'm sick, I don't want to shake your hands and get you sick. Yeah, he was like coughing.
I mean, the desert climate is pretty extreme. I feel like if you go out there with like a germ of sickness,
it's gonna take you over.
It can take you right on over.
Step into the player's box with me.
Stepped in. I'm sat.
Okay. We were just
sat in the box, like put up over. Hey,
you're insane.
Whose box should I sit in? Whose box would you like to sit in?
Berrettini.
I knew you were gonna say that. I want to sit. Well, I guess I can't, because Tommy Paul has a girlfriend. So unless we're going to be sister wives, I can't sit in the box. But I would like to sit in.
Well,
what's the girl that Shelton dating?
Rodman?
Yeah. We're going to have to punch it out.
She's a whole ass Olympic medaled athlete, please.
What did she do again? What sport?
Doesn't she play soccer for the U.S. national team?
Oh, damn. No, I can't go up against a sporty girl.
Because I won't be having your back.
That's not what you said last week.
Bye, girl. Yeah, I think Berrettini, he doesn't yell at his box. It's usually like a general chilled vibe in there, just a lot of fist pumping. I'm good at that.
He's a well-behaved boy.
Really good, really well-behaved. The box is usually not too crowded. There's not a lot of people in there. Somebody like Tiafoe, his box be packed out. What?
Gang in that bitch.
Literally.
Like, you remember one time for the US Open, there was actually someone in like a like green jersey, and I was just like, what is going on in Tiafoe's box?
Yeah, Boris Kudrow be in there. Like,
he be bringing out the stars.
Yeah.
The stars.
We're going to talk about this later when we talk about the Indian Wells branding, but they did this video of like, who are the most famous people in your phone or whatever. And when I got to Tiafoe, I'm like, he knows all the celebs. Like, whose house he gonna choose?
He can't even like say some of them.
No,
literally. Like, no, I gotta keep that under wraps.
But yeah, into the players.
Popular guy.
Very
Popular
sweet,
guy.
very good natured. Except for that time he cussed out the umpire.
Yeah, that was crazy and a huge misstep. But he's recovered. We thought he wouldn't, but he has, because he's such a good vibe. I think
people were able to put it behind them.
People moved on. Yeah.
Yeah. But we were just talking about Kalinskaya, and her coach, Patricia Terabini, she's one of the few women on the tour that have a female coach. And they've been together for over 5 years. And she brought her from outside the top 150 to the top 15. That's pretty notable.
Impressive.
Yeah, they've been together for over 5 years.
Same thing for Mira and Driva. Conchita, they are locked in.
Yeah. I really like some of the relationships I see with the female coaches and their players.
Especially because I feel like when the female coach has been a player, they're not trying to repeat some of the toxic habits that they might have experienced being a professional tennis player.
Yeah. I also think that, I know the WTA is doing a lot of pushes right now. I think it would be good for them to, I don't know if they have this, I probably should have done research before I started talking about it, but I think it'd be good for them to have like a team development program where they develop women outside of players, so physios, coaches, things like that, because then it could also help curtail some of these issues like we're seeing with Rebecca and Vukov.
Yeah.
Not that women can't be abusers, but I think by and large we see these sort of harmful dynamics come across when it's a
the
man
men are
and a woman.
involved.
Yeah. Speaking of Rebecca, she started like a YouTube, and
did she?
Yeah, and
Come
Yannick
on, girl, give us nothing on YouTube.
And Yannick has started a YouTube.
Go on then, give us nothing on YouTube, because also not the most.
And Iga has started a
out there.
website.
Hey.
Yeah, and she was like, together, she was like, my website is up and running. We want it to be truly mine, not just about tennis, but about what I like off the court. I invite you if you want to take a peek at my playlists, for example.
Well, I think a website is truly Iga's thing in her lane. I think that suits Iga.
Yeah, because she's not a chatty patty.
She's not a chatty patty, but she does love her. She's a Swiftie.
As a fellow Swiftie, I will be tuning into that.
And then we're going to have a pic every time she goes to, like, I can see it already. It's giving like how Beyonce has a website, which is more like just her posting her like personal life moments. Because, you know, Beyonce wasn't going to give us a YouTube.
Well, no.
I also want to talk about something that I saw recently that I thought was interesting, is that Madison Keys has a coach who's a former NFL player.
No way, that's crazy. I think, obviously, tennis is unlike any other sports, but those little drills they do on the football court on the football field are similar to tennis movements. So maybe he's helping her with her movement. I don't know, but that's interesting.
It is interesting. Apparently, he has 2 of the top American players, and apparently he had a certain idea of what a tennis player looked like. And then when he went to Indian Wells in 2018, he saw that their physiques were different to what he had imagined, and now he's training tennis players.
That's cool. Sloane is injured, speaking of fitness, so she's not fit. Her foot.
I was sad to see that.
It's interesting though, because she got a wild card for both Indian Wells and Miami. So her Indian Wells wild card went to someone else, or maybe a lucky loser replaced her in the draw. I can't remember. And then for Miami, she's pulled out, so there's now a free wild card in Miami. I'm interested to see who they're going to give that to. Hopefully Taylor Townsend.
It's Taylor Townsend.
Yeah, so she doesn't have to play qualifying.
Oh, because it's too much. She's now winning the doubles and you want to come and play qualifying. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Speaking of Venus not taking her wild card after I went on a campaign on Twitter explaining why she deserved it and why people should be upset, and then she was like, I'm not taking that, I'm not going to be there. I thought that was so funny.
She didn't ask for it.
But that's not possible though. You have to apply for wild cards.
No, but what they're saying is that Indian Wells just wanted her and they just gave it to her. They can do that. They got ahead of themselves because I think they assumed that she would want to, and then she was like, I do not want to.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, Sloane has a boot on, so it's not looking great.
And not the cute kind.
No, not a Jimmy Choo boot. It's
definitely not that.
I'm in the hospital boot.
Speaking of Madison Keys, she recently did an interview where she was talking about how, like, before she thought that the top players like played fearlessly and had no nerves and no anxiety and just knew they were going to win the whole time. But she was saying that when she started to realize that they were like
fighting every week,
playing with their nerves, it allowed her to play better, because what would happen to her is that every time she would feel the nerves setting in, she would think it's like, I'm not a top player. I'm not going to be able to play well because people don't win with these feelings. So learning that people are winning with those feelings every day.
No. Madison Keys and the journey she's on and the era she's in her career is so inspiring to me. And watching her just like continue to run with it, because she's playing great in Indian Wells right now, is becoming one of my favorite storylines. I could already tell. Great. Last year, my favorite storyline was Danielle Collins. This year, it's Madison Keys.
I can definitely resonate with that.
And we're 3 months in.
Yeah.
Because she's just making leaps and bounds.
Yeah. On
like a personal development kind of level, on a professional, like.
And it's also just like, it's never too late.
It's never too late.
Which is really nice to see.
It's never too late. Even if I say.
Sabalenka spoke a bit about like having a sports psychologist or not, because I think they asked her like, why don't you have one or whatever, and she basically was like, yeah, like she's gotten through shit on her own her whole life, so she doesn't need a sports psychologist, essentially.
Okay, Big Lenka. Okay.
But I actually think her and Coco would benefit quite a bit from a psychologist in their box.
Coco doesn't have one? How do we know that she's not seeing a therapist? Or not? She doesn't have a dedicated sports psychologist. Is what we're saying.
Not on her team that we know of. No. Yeah.
I think it's also like, yeah, I mean, everyone has to opt in. So if Sabalenka's like position is that she doesn't think she needs one, something's gonna have to make her feel like she needs it. Otherwise, it doesn't even make sense. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, she dealt with her dad passing. She's dealt with the yip, her ex-boyfriend committing suicide. She's been through quite a bit, and she's made it through. So I think she feels like she has a handle on her stuff. So
I mean, Arena leans on her team a lot, and it's nice that she feels so secure and safe with her team. But it's not the same thing as having someone who is trained and licensed in helping people sort out their mental state. Okay, so we have some networthy news. So Bams and I went to the WTA launch of their new branding. It was in Los Angeles. I mean, the rebrand was like on top of everybody's mind. It was going crazy on tennis Twitter. They were all talking about the new colorway, the new logo, the new
people hated
font.
it, and still
people
do,
hated
actually.
it. And they still do. But I think the rebrand, we have to remember, is not just about a change of logo. It also represents the WTA's new push for how they're going to market their players, how they're going to do their recaps, and how they're going to promote all these various tournaments. And I think overall, after seeing them roll out some content, I'm with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the previous logo was actually quite new. It hadn't even been around for, I think, 5 years. And so I think the switch probably caught a lot of people off guard. I think the decision to lead with the green, even though I think the primary color is still the purple.
It's still purple, yeah.
Was most likely intentional to get people talking, but I think it really put people off, right? I think people just were not feeling it at all. And I think, unfortunately, they still haven't been convinced. I really like the big push with each player having, well, not each player, but multiple players having personalized custom assets. I love these new off-court fits they're doing with the photographer who shot Beyonce's Cowboy Carter cover. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of content going on, but I also recognize some of the criticisms in that, for example, with these off-court fits, when they're posting them on Twitter and stuff, they're not highlighting who the actual player is, their rank, or anything.
I was going to say, people have complained that the focus, how are you going to tag the photographer before you tag the player? Because, of course, a lot of these players that they are doing the post with aren't necessarily the most popular players on tour, so people might not recognize them immediately. So the rebrand and the relaunch has not been without its hiccups.
Yeah, I think,
but the effort is there,
and that's what I was gonna say. I think people are being really hard on the WTA, but I think at the end of the day, for me, I'm happy to see the effort. I'm happy to see the intentionality. I'm happy to see that it's being thought about. The WTA has a very long and rich history as a organization. March 8th was International Women's Day, and this month is Women's Month, and I think tennis and women in tennis have really broken so many barriers when it comes to sports and women in sports. I think women's sports is on the precipice of really becoming as integral to culture and sports culture as men's sports. And I think, as always, tennis has kind of been ahead of the curve in that.
They've led the way. Absolutely.
Then you have, the original nine, those group of women, the professional tennis players who decided that, listen, we're not going to be making less money than the men and following this tour around that doesn't really serve us. And they launched their own professional tour, the Virginia Slims Circuit. And it's funny, when the WTA was doing their launch, they followed that trend on TikTok. I took my younger self out for coffee, and they referenced the Virginia Slims Circuit, which has evolved into the modern WTA tour as we know it.
I find it so crazy that back then, the only sponsor that wanted that title sponsorship position was a cigarette brand. And I also want to highlight something that is so crazy to me. So when women first started playing in the Open era, I feel like the prize money ratio was something like 2.5 to 1. So if the purse was like 10,000, the man would get like 8 and the woman would get like 2, something like that, right? And the men were complaining that the women were basically eating into their pockets. And so the women were kind of like a nuisance to the men on that tour because they were all pulling from the same prize pool.
Yeah.
Now.
And the men didn't think they were deserving, obviously.
Yeah. And what I find interesting is that over the next few years, as the woman kept playing, you would think that it would become more equal. It actually increased from 2.5 to 1 to something like 5 to 1 in some tournaments.
Wow.
And then even some were 12 to 1.
Oh, wow. That's so crazy.
It's so crazy. It's like, do they hate us?
Well, yes.
So I think it goes to show that, like, we really cannot wait for people to see our worth and to see, like, that we deserve the same, because it will just increasingly get worse unless we organize. And that's what the original 9 did. There was a Judas in the group. It could have been 10. There was this one girl. Let me see.
Not
what
a
her name
Judas,
was.
please.
There was this one player, Patty Hogan, who withdrew from, their protesting event, which is when they decided to make their own circuit of competitions and tournaments. She didn't want to take the risk and stand against the establishment. What I want to know is what happened. Did she then come back to play the Virginia Slim circuit after she realized that, wait, they did a thing?
She was like, y'all might have ate with that thing.
She said, y'all did that one thing. Because then it was like, there's no woman playing on the men's side. So where you going to play? I mean, I guess then the original 9 had to be the bigger people.
Well, yes, because they want the tour to grow, right? So.
Yeah. So, like, you could come. Sucks to be Patty Hogan, though.
Boo, Patty Hogan.
Because now on Wikipedia, you are known as the Judas of the original 9.
Of the original 10 that became 9.
It became 9.
Crazy.
It's not like there were that many women on tour, too. So it's like, girl, stop embarrassing us.
In front of everybody.
In front of everybody.
Something that's not at all embarrassing and is extremely commendable is the WTA introducing their new maternity fund, which is supported by PIF.
The Saudi Arabian people, right?
Correct. The Prince's Fund or so.
So all of those who had things to say about, we cannot support Saudi Arabia because they don't like
What's the accent that you're
women.
using right now, by the way?
It's a mix.
Okay,
it's a mix.
Mm-hmm.
That has been on my mind all morning. But anyway, all of those who were like, yeah, they don't know how they feel about Saudi Arabia.
It though, because even when this was announced, John Wertheim, homeboy who, was taken off air for saying Kachikova had a big forehead, he says, the country that ranks 126 out of 144 in gender parity is co-sponsoring the WTA maternity fund. This is either the WTA admin really helping to bring about social and cultural change, or it's classic sports washing. In time, we shall see which is which. And let me just say something.
How can it be sports washing?
It makes Saudi Arabia look better without them actually doing anything
in their country. Okay, got it.
The thing about that, though, is that, like, for the next 4 years at least, Americans have no moral standing to talk about what's happening in anybody else's country.
Absolutely none.
I need Americans on mute. I need them to be doing the mute challenge, word to Beyonce. Americans have no leg to stand on when it comes to what is happening in someone else's country, because look at what is happening in yours.
Right here.
You want to talk about gender parity? When there's senators introducing bills that would strip women of the right to vote? You talking about gender parity? John Wertheim, don't do this.
Get out of here.
I got dirt on you, doggy. Word to Cameron. It's like, no, I'm playing. But Azarenka, who is a WTA Players Council representative, has really been at the forefront of this maternity fund conversation. She found out when she was pregnant with her son, Leo, that there actually were no rules addressing maternity leave in the WTA Players Handbook or in their organizational structure at all. It wasn't until 2019 that the WTA even gave increased protection for returning mothers on tour, specifically with a change in the protective ranking system. Beforehand, they were kind of just waffling in the wind. So I think that, listen, nothing is ever going to be perfect.
And the rate of progress is slow. It has been.
But this is
women
really
been making
big
babies.
Step.
Women been making babies. So it's like, why did nobody think of this before? Just want to add that I was sad to see her out so early in Indian Wells because she is a 2-time Indian Wells champion. But it is what it is. She had her moment.
Carlos was wearing a fake tattoo, like a temporary tattoo with the date 23/4/25, and everybody was like, what is this? Like, why is he doing that? Turns out his Netflix docuseries will be released on April 23rd, 2025.
Okay, cute.
It's followed him around for like 9 months, day in and day out, so it should be interesting. We spoke a bit earlier about Indian Wells' new surface. So basically, for those who don't know, I mean, we've done a soft serve on surface speeds and what the different surfaces mean and the hard court speeds and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Indian Wells traditionally has always had a slower pace and a higher bounce because of the desert conditions. PlexiPave has been their surface of choice for about 25 years. But as of this year, they've chosen Lakehold, which is the same one that's used in Miami and the U.S. Open, which are typically quicker hard courts. Mm-hmm. But the thing about Indian Wells is that the conditions vary so widely, just depending on the time of day, the temperature, the wind, etc. So
and the amount of sand that has settled on the court, which they can't control, really and truly.
Yeah, it sometimes feels like different tournaments all at once.
According to the players.
Yeah, because Medvedev said it seems to be slower than before. Sabalenka says they're a bit faster. Zverev didn't even know there was a new surface. Coco said that the bounce is better for those who hit with more spin because the ball bounces on the court more. Carlos said he likes it. The ball bounces a lot, and that's good for him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Djoko, after his loss, he said that there's such a big difference between some of the practice courts.
Yeah, we spoke about that earlier, yeah.
I thought we spoke about that before the pod. It was on the pod?
It was on the pod, yeah.
Oy. God damn.
But speaking of Indian Wells and their courts and the whole thing, they have some fantastic content right now on their page. Mm-hmm. They did this one. Do you know that WTA umpire Kader Nooni? He has the really deep voice. Dirty love.
He needs to be in like voice acting on the side.
They did this meditation video where they had the WTA players like close their eyes and like they played audio and it was him talking. It was so funny. It was like a meditation like calming thing and it was just him talking.
Is that the WTA's marketing or Indian Wells marketing?
It's a collaboration post, but it's on the Indian Wells background in their studio that I've also seen post from in a collaboration post with them in the ATP. So I think it's Indian Wells, BNP Paribas marketing. They also had one where it's like, which player would you like to see play that you haven't, or which athlete would you like to see play that you haven't? And there were a lot of really good answers. A couple of people said Federer. Mira Andreeva said Federer because she's never seen him play and because he was like she's so young, so he was done by the time that she
so cute.
Came on tour. And then she said that she hopes to see him in person so she can just poke him and see if he's real.
She's so adorable. I'm really hoping she goes deep in this tournament. High hopes for Mira Andreeva.
Yeah, she's supposed to meet Iga somewhere
She's meeting the girl that she beat in that last final. What's her
name?
Towson. Right now in round 3.
Oh, nice.
So I wonder if Towson is going to come back with a vengeance, or if it's going to be another Mira parade.
I think so. So I did a bracket this tournament. It's my first time ever doing like one of those like actual brackets in a app. And let me just say my bracket is in absolute shambles because the draw is in shambles. So many of the seeds have fallen. So many of the people that were projected to do well did not. And I just want to say, like, especially on the men's side, actually.
It's been unpredictable.
To say the least. But what are based on where we are now, heading into the business end of the tournament, middle weekend has passed. What are your dreams, nightmares, and realities for Indian Wells 2025?
I think my dream is Marta Kostyuk getting a big win.
What's a big win?
The title.
The title. Ooh.
But also, my dream could also be Mira Andreeva. Okay, so I'm going to give top 3 who I want to see take the title. I want to see Mira Andreeva. I want to see Kostyuk.
Pick a dream, pick a nightmare, pick a reality.
Oh, yeah, true. Because both of these are...
Like, here you go. Like, a genie would never work with you.
So my dream... Actually, my dream is Madison Keys. Let's be fucking honest. My dream is Madison Keys. My nightmare is Iga Swiatek. My reality is also Madison Keys. Keys for the win.
That's so funny.
Period.
And on the men's
men's side, let's go over to the men's draw.
Okay.
My dream is Gael Monfils.
That is a choice.
That is a dream. And I'm sticking by it.
Okay. Nightmare? Zverev's already out the draw.
Nightmare would be CC Pass. Very honest.
Ooh. That is a nightmare, can't lie.
Reality based on who is left in this draw. It's probably Draper.
Jack Draper?
Oh no, Alcaraz. It's Alcaraz. Alcaraz. Alcaraz.
Jack Draper? Or is there another one?
Marta Kostyuk just came out with a win, so maybe I'm not that far. 6-3, 6-3 per. What about you, Boo? What are your dreams, nightmares, and realities for Indian Wells 2025?
Indian Wells 2025. Ugh. Dream would be Coco.
Okay. That's a dream.
Yeah, it is.
California dreaming.
Nightmare. Nightmare for me, honestly, I have to be frank, it's going to be Swiatek.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be Swiatek. She's in great form, man.
It's unfortunate. She just beat someone like she bageled Yastremska.
Yastremska, yeah. Reality, though, actually, in the bracket that I did, I had Keys taking the whole thing.
Per?
Yeah.
That's what I said?
Keys taking the whole thing. On the men's side, dream would be Feast.
Really? I would like to see him.
Also, he's very attractive, so that'd be a really nice photo shoot. Nightmare, based on this list.
We don't actually dislike anyone on the men's side as much as we do Zverev.
Honestly,
so once he's out of the picture, it's like hard.
Yeah, my nightmare would be Carlos losing very badly before the semis.
Okay. Yeah, early exit. Early
exit
is relative,
really
but for him, before semis is early.
Yeah, for semis.
Isn't he like a 2-time champion at Indian Wells? Or 1 time? How many times?
I don't know if he's 2-time, but he's the defending champion right now.
He got a target on his back.
Correct. Reality, based on this draw, and who's half. I mean, the top half of the draw is like wide open. My God. This would probably be the best chance that Tiafoe's ever going to have. Not going to lie.
Let's see if he's going to take it.
But the reality is, I really want to go crazy and say Daminar, but I'm going to say Carlos to be safe.
I feel like these conditions favor Diminar.
You think?
I would think. The ball is slower. He's really good on defense. He can get everything back. It's going to be hard to get through Diminar.
Yeah, that top half. Like, what is Marcus Giron and Alexei Popyrin doing still in the draw? Like, and why are they playing each other? What is going on? Anyway, yeah, so that's it for me. Shall we talk about what's next on tour?
What is next on tour? It's,
Miami Open.
For the next 3 months.
You can set your calendar by Yannick. The next on tour is WTA 1000 and ATP Masters 1000 Miami. That's from the 18th, 19th to the 30th of March. There's a couple 125s on the women's side, but there's nothing else between now and the end of March. On the men's side, a couple 250s start on the 31st of March. The clay one in Houston, Marrakesh, and there's also one in Bucharest, Romania as well. That they all start on the 31st and they all end on the 6th of April. And those are all 250s. I'm excited for Miami. I love the Sunshine Double.
Yeah, let's see who. It's very few players have been able to complete the Sunshine Double.
In the meantime, guys, follow us on Instagram at Serving Up the Tea Pod and on Twitter and Blue Sky as 2 Gals 1 Serve. I think that's Game Set Chat.
Game, set, chat, baby.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.